When an armed and threatening power lands uninvited in our capital, we don't meet him with tea and cookies.
Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it, and the friendly neighborhood mail lady has hooked a brother up with a package from my favorite publisher on God's green earth. I say my favorite publisher, a publisher of chapbooks called Rapture Publishing, owned by my good friend Mitch Hull, who I've never actually met and hope to remedy that. But speaking of Mitch Hull and not actually meeting him, he threw an event last year, 2024, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, of all places, called Fracassi Fest, celebrating one of my absolute favorite authors on God's green earth. That's a guy by the name of Philip Fracassi. And at that event, Mitch had specially packaged and published some chapbooks, because there's two of them that I have here, called The Witch Tree, a short story related to the Serafina novel. And I didn't go, so I didn't get them. But by hook and by crook, and paying off people in the right way and the right amount, I was able to get both a numbered and a lettered copy of these The Witch Tree chapbooks, the numbered and the lettered. And they became must-haves for my collection. I was able to get them. And Fracassi Fest 2024, a little note from Mitch. They were fantastic. And then shortly thereafter, Rapture Publishing started offering more chapbooks from more authors. Some authors that I really dig and some authors that I didn't know. But there's not a dud in the bunch. Everyone has been fantastic. And once Mitch Hull at Rapture Publishing started offering subscription packages, I signed up for the subscription that would span the most number of volumes that I could. And another one is in the mailbox. And here it is in this hard cardboard mailer type of a thing. Now these are soft covered chapbooks, and I'll show you a little more closely what they are. And you can see here, is that right? The logo, the beautiful It's a Great Day for a Rapture Publishing. Now, Mitch Hull also owns a company called Rapture Brewing, where he brews different types of ales and beers and such as that. And I'm no expert on the subject, but I hear a lot of people I hear a lot of people raving like lunatics, bragging about Mitch's Rapture Brewing products. But I'm here to talk about Rapture Publishing, and let's take a look at what we got. I am on the whatever the tier is bundle, where I get the lettered and the numbered and a limited print. And it looks like there's a little something extra in here that I will show you also. But it's always a great day for a Rapture. And I do agree, Mitch, thanks so much for all you do. And I'll show you first the numbered. And then we'll get into some of the differences. And I've shown you this on other volumes. But here is our numbered edition, I think, by what I know. I'll show you some of the differences. And he included a little note, which I do appreciate. Tim, thank you so much for subscribing to the bundles. It means a ton. I hope you dig the newest release. Cheers, Mitch. Mitch, I do truly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the newest release, and I'll show you a little bit about what that actually means here in just a moment. But let's take this stuff out without dropping stuff. Show you what all was included. I showed you my little note. Also, look at here. I don't want to hold it upside down. Boy, look at here. There is our book specific, if I could be more Pacific, bookmark. And I got to hold it upright, right side up. Upside up, not upside down. And show you. There we go. And there is the other side, Rapture Publishing. But we'll get a little bit more into that and what that is all about here in a moment. And this edition that I am about to show you is Chad Lutzke, the illustrious Chad Lutzke, to be a ghost. And man, that artwork looks so good on the cover there. And so far, I think, unless I'm mistaken, every Mitch Hull edition from Rapture Publishing has had Chris Panettiere artwork, cover and interior art, copyright 2025 by Chris Panettiere. In fact, one of these editions was a Chris Panettiere story. This one here being Chad Lutzke, to be a ghost. And this is the numbered edition. This sort of a chapbook where essentially they're printed inside, placed inside the cover, folded over, and stapled. And we'll see the difference here in a moment between the lettered edition and this one is number 6. Now, the one I showed you before, the Witch Tree, didn't count as part of, so that was a 0, edition 0, and it was slightly different trim size. The trim size changed once he started with these, but there's that Chris Panettiere cover art, and it looks so good. And then we'll show you here the limitation page with signature and all, including more Chris Panettiere artwork. This special edition chapbook is limited to 26 lettered copies, all signed by the author and artist, and 160 numbered copies. Mine is 55, and I've been getting 55s all along, signed by author Chad Lutzke and illustrator Chris Panettiere. And so it does look so good, and we'll look through here and show you a little bit about what's going on. The paper is quality paper. It's thick. It feels good. And first limited edition, July of 2025. Here's what it'll look like when you read it. It looks so good. Easy to read, easy on the eyes. A cool typeset and text there. It looks cool. I like it. I don't know what you would call it, but it does look good. And as always with these, each edition has had a cool, interesting way of numbering the pages. So you can see there, page 8. Each book it'll be slightly different, something geared toward, themed upon the story. And you can see how they go on from page to page. So really a cool thing. Chapbooks are neat. It's a way to publish short stories. And a lot of times short stories have been consumed in a big bundle, either bundled up with other authors or bundled up with an author's bunch of stories. Sometimes I've felt like they need to stand alone, and there's been quite a few short stories over my lifetime where I wanted a standalone version of this story. It's not big enough to make a book out of, and I've got some short stories that are hardbound, and while it looks cool, it's kind of weird to have a book where the covers or the boards combined to be much thicker than the collection of pages inside of it. While it is cool and I like it, I'm not saying that's bad. Soft covered bound short stories have always felt a little bit more appropriate. Now, I love hardcover books. I love quality bindings, all sorts of nice materials and such as that. But when it comes to short stories, especially true short stories, they feel more appropriate when they're soft bound. And I've got a bunch of them from a bunch of different authors, and some well known and some you've never heard of. But I like this. And when you got a publisher that's publishing regularly short stories from authors you don't know about, what happens is not only do I discover authors in a way that's easy to consume, but I also stumble upon stories that I never would have read before. So it's a lot of wins in this sort of a deal. And then at the end of the day, sometimes you'll end up with the special short story that's well bound in a neat package that is appropriate to the type of story that it is, in my opinion. Anyway, my opinions don't matter to anybody but me. Lucky number 13. So we'll move on down the road and see what other kinds of illustrations I can find here in this Chad Lutzke story published by Rapture Publishing. Illustrations from the artiste Chris Panettiere. And I gotta think, perhaps, I don't know, but I might like the illustrations in this one maybe more than the other Rapture Publishing editions. I don't know, it's hard to say, especially since I don't have them all lined out in front of me to compare and contrast. But I've really liked the illustrations in this particular book. And there at the end, Rapture Publishing. So that's our numbered edition. Next, I want to I want to take it out, our lettered edition right here. And looking at the cover right off the bat, we'll take it out and show you. But you can see some of the differences between the two. The two. Two is dos, whatever, I don't know. Duh. French? I don't know. Whatever, it's a language, mon dieu. But let me take this one out here. Quit the stalling, don't drop stuff. And here is our lettered edition. And when I touch these lettered editions from Rapture Publishing, it is an instant. Now, maybe it doesn't show up on the video, but it's instant feel down deep. The difference. What I'm holding is something else, something better, something special. Not to diminish the numbered edition, but this one, looking at it, feeling it, and understanding the differences make this lettered edition, for me, that thing that I really want. By looking at that metallic sort of text on the front and the back, this one is just fancy and fantastic. And then when we look at the binding, rather than being stapled, this one is sewn, hand sewn. And I'll show you in the middle here where you can see hand sewn, hand stitched artwork. And the paper itself, also the paper, and I don't know the ins and outs of what paper is, what is it called, and yada, yada, yada. But the paper itself is a higher quality. You can feel it tactily. You can feel the difference, the upgrade in every part of this sort of a production. Now, the illustrations will be the same actual illustrations, but occasionally you may see colors in one and not in the other, and such as that. But mine is letter W of 26 lettered copies, also signed by Chad Lutzke and Chris Panettiere and Stephen King. It's not signed by Stephen King. I don't want to start something here. I do want to start something, but I don't want to start something else. So it's signed by Chad Lutzke and Chris Panettiere. And if you want, I can sign it myself, but I contributed nothing to it. And we'll just kind of flip through here and see if I can identify. You see the pages are a little bit creamier in color too. I'll do a side-by-side comparison. But let's see, let's look for some of the illustrations. I think the illustrations here may be the same. I don't want to miss, and I'll do a side-by-side just to make sure I'm not missing something here. And Viola, there they are. Shiny. Was the other one as shiny as that? I don't know. We'll compare it here in a second. Side-by-side comps. But the lettered edition feels so good. Feels so nice. From the paper to the stitching to the variation in the way that the covers are printed and the limitation and all. It's just sweet stuff. So we hold these up side by side. Right away on the covers, you can see the different type, the different design, even though it's the same illustration, designed a little differently. The stitching, what I showed you that already. The stitching. We'll look at our paper. Let's open up center and center. We can look somewhat the difference in the paper color. I can, if you want to feel it. You can feel the difference between the numbered and the lettered. And then our illustration. Just, I think maybe it's just the paper color difference there as far as the illustration goes. The lettered is a little bit, to my eyes, it's a little shinier, a little bit bolder. It's hard to tell, but in the camera, but it is there. I can tell a slight difference. I don't know if that's intentional or maybe just the paper itself, how the ink transfers and sets, whatever. Technical terms on the paper itself. But wait, there's more. And I mentioned, and Mitch wished that I would enjoy the new release, something called an ARC. And there you can see an ARC, an advanced review copy or an advanced reader copy. Mitch Hall was kind enough to give me an advanced review copy of Jess Hageman's Resurrection. And looking at the art on the front cover of this ARC, I'm noticing maybe an evolution in the Rapture Publishing design. I don't know, But I'm noticing this cover here. It feels a little bit more adult. I don't want to say something is childish or this is adult. That's insulting things. But this feels a little bit more like something I would see in a Dean Koontz or a Stephen King story. Just over time, something from the 80s. This feels a little bit more like that. Where when I look at this cover, I don't know a thing about the story right now. Maybe you can tell me all about it. I don't know. But I look at this and I say, uh-oh, we're fixing to get into something here. And that's the feeling that art gives me for the Jess Hageman. And if I'm saying Hageman's name wrong, I do truly apologize, but that's just what I read when I see the name. This arc was created for review purposes and is limited to 15 copies. This is copy 10. And I dig it, man. I've got a few of these now. I sure do appreciate it, Mitch. Just some of the interesting designs here. I'm feeling like I'm about to get into something. This design, this art, it feels like I'm in for something here. I'm stepping off into something, and maybe it'll be something special. Let's see what else is included in here that I can show you. Again, each one has a bit of a design for the numbering that's addressed, or that's book specific, if you could be more specific. And here we go, Chris Panettiere. We got some adult imagery here, Chris Panettiere. So we got a guy with a nightstick. Almost looks like a guy in uniform wearing some cargo pants. And a dog's got a crotch bite. It looks like a bad day at the office for a man in uniform. What else? What else do we have in here? Some more artwork. This artwork, a little bit different style, I reckon, here. We've got a couple of dogs. Well, yeah. So the heads have been removed. The top of the heads have been removed. So now looking at the artwork, I'm getting a little bit, I don't want to give spoilers. And I'm looking at this thing not knowing what I'm getting into here. But that's a little sneak peek, a little taste of Resurrection by Jess Hageman. And a neat addition, once again, one more thing that I didn't show you because I set it over here out of the way just so I would forget it, is this limited edition print that came with my bundle. You can buy these separately, although there are only 50 copies. You can buy these separately because the bundles, I think, are 26, and then there's 50 of these, so there are always going to be a few available, I believe, for purchase. There are only 50, and I get copy number 50 of 50, so like Indiana Jones, sliding in at the last minute before that big rolling ball, what do you call it? A ball, sphere, bearing thing, crushes him, reaches in and grabs his hat before the door closes. So he rolls in under the door, and I'm number 50 of 50. But there is that print, that limited edition print. It's got a very nice, it's hard to see. I'll take it out of the plastic. Maybe you have a better chance of seeing the material texture if I can get it out. If I can take it out, dropping things. But anyway, you can see perhaps it's like a business card, a fancy business card there, that texture in the print. So it's good stuff. And let's see, did I ruin anything? Nope, my lettered edition fell flat. I dropped it, fumble fingers. But with that being said, let's show you what I got from Chad Lutzke's B-U-T. Let's put the letter in front here. To Be a Ghost, Chad Lutzke, Mitch Hull. Thanks for hooking a brother up. Rapture Publishing. I do recommend check out the description. I'll put a link in there where you can see what is available. Maybe there's a little bit of something left in the back catalog, and maybe you can sign up to be able to jump on board for future releases, which I just gave you a sneak peek of what will be available coming up. I think it's already available. Anyway, thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. I can think of no more lies to tell. So, say la vie, baby. Do-do.
People of Earth, attention. People of Earth, attention.